The sound of a Russian drone on the front lines, hovering near Evgenia Emerald. It's trying to find us, she says. If it sees her, she knows what sound could come next. The whiz, then bang of incoming artillery. Spot the target, dial it in, and fire. It's a tactic she knows well, because Emerald is a sniper. We met Emerald in a fully blacked out part of the capital, Kyiv, far from the trenches she lived in for months.
It's a very important thing.
Coming back to her home in Kyiv with no electricity feels oddly normal. And so now does being a woman fighting with an otherwise all-male squad.
Just me.
Just you.
And a lot of men.
And were they always respectful to you?
Yes, they really respect me, and they said that I'm a war genius.
They said you're a war genius.
Yes.
Did you have a nickname?
Yes.
What?
Ukrainian Joan d'Arc.
Ukrainian Joan of Arc. That title and her bright eyes and flaming red hair the army emblazoned on a patch they made for her.
When did you learn how to be a sniper?
I got my first weapon in my hands from my dad when I was just a kid, she says. And in the years since, she's built up her own collection of rifles.
My toys.
Thanks to those years of practice with her dad, Emerald thrived in a military program similar to the ROTC at her university. But after graduating, she chose civilian life, opening her own jewelry business. Emerald, by the way, is a nickname she adopted. Then, after the Russians invaded in February, the army reached out to their former prodigy.
They called you and said,
Evgenia, we need you.
I have to ask. Give me some numbers.
How
many did I kill? I never answer this question, she says. She won't talk about her best day, but she will her worst. The one last spring when the Russians routed her unit in a village north of Kharkiv, killing some of her closest friends who were down the road ahead of her. I couldn't help them in any way, she says.
Did you see them die?
Of course.
You saw them through your scope?
I saw through the scope how people died, and comrades died right next to me, she says.
Was there any one person that you were especially close to who died that day?
Yes, she says, her mentor, who taught her how to be a sniper. I cried every day for about 2 months after that, she says.
Could you continue to fight after that?
Of course I could, she says. I had thirst for revenge. Revenge, killing, dying. The evils of war are all around. But for her, it's about more.
I always say that war, it's about life.
War is about life?
Yes.
That may sound odd, but there's a reason for her to smile. Because for Emerald, war led to love.
You met him this summer?
Yes.
Where?
Online, in Instagram.
So you're fighting?
Yes.
And you're on Instagram? Using Starlink?
Yes, we have Starlink.
Is that how you connected?
Yes.
Yev Henley, an artilleryman fighting in a different area of the country, arranged leave times so they could meet in person.
You only spent 3 days together?
Yes, just 3 days.
And you knew he was the one?
Yes.
Why him?
I saw him and understand that this man will be my husband.
A week later, Yev Henley came to her command post in Zaporizhia to propose. Then, in October, she went to his position this time, in a forest near Kharkiv, for the closest thing a war zone has to a fairy tale wedding. And by the time they made it official, they were already a family.
So the first 2 months of your pregnancy, you were still firing your weapon?
Yes.
Yes, she says, and I continued to live in the trenches and basements just like everyone else.
Did they know you were pregnant?
Today they know.
Today they know, but did they know then?
They don't know that.
You knew?
Just me.
Where were you when you found out that you're pregnant?
Артилерія, яка тільки може бути.
We've been shelled all day by artillery, and when everyone else was sitting there afraid, I can only think of one thing.
Піцу. Я так хотіла піцу.
That I want pizza. She says that's when I began to suspect I was pregnant.
Я вагітна.
Forgive me if this is too personal, but Did you want to be a mother, and did your husband want to be a father?
Of course, it's a gift, I think, and a lot of my friends said that this baby saved your life, and I believe in this.
She says that because a couple days after she left her unit, 2 men she would have been fighting next to died. Now Emerald is back in Kyiv.
Military car.
She's keeping the camo paint job on her Porsche, but she has no plans to return to the front. While her husband continues fighting, her mother is by her side, at night, literally.
Now I sleep on the sofa with my mother.
By her still unpacked military gear, because they're hosting a family made homeless by the war. When she thinks about the stories she'll tell her child of what she did in the war and how she met Evgenia, they amaze even her.
Look at me. In this war, I was sniper.
A sniper, and soon a mother on a new front line. Jason Bellini, Newsy, Kyiv, Ukraine.